What if the reason you feel heavier after 70 has nothing to do with your body, and everything to do with what you're still carrying in your mind? Most people over 65 believe that staying strong means holding on to habits, holding on to pride, holding on to roles they've played for decades. But here's the mystery. If holding on is strength, why do stress-related illnesses, loneliness rates, and even depression increase for so many Americans after 70? According to the CDC, nearly 20% of adults over 65 experience symptoms of anxiety or depression. The National Poll on Healthy Aging reports that 1 in 3 older adults feels isolated at least some of the time. These numbers rise after 70. Something isn't lining up. Let's rewind. In early adulthood, life rewards accumulation. You build a career, you build a reputation, you build a home, you build a family. The cause is ambition. The effect is stability. That formula works. Research from the University of Michigan's long-running health and retirement study shows that financial growth and social status in midlife strongly predict material comfort later on. So, you learn a rule. More effort, more control, more accumulation equals safety. Your brain wires around that belief. Dopamine fires when you achieve. Approval feels like security. Winning matters, being right matters, being admired matters. Then your 40s arrive. Changes start quietly, blood pressure rises, recovery slows. The American Heart Association reports that nearly half of adults between 45 and 64 have hypertension. Stress, which once fueled progress, begins to damage the cardiovascular system. Sleep becomes lighter. Energy fluctuates. But here's the twist. Instead of loosening their grip, most people tighten it. They work harder to prove relevance. They compare more. They defend their opinions more strongly. Cause: identity built on performance. Effect: stress without the same physical resilience to absorb it. Now fast forward to after 70. Here's the shift most people ignore. Your biology changes the rules of what matters. Dr. Laura Carstensen at Stanford University, through her groundbreaking socio-emotional selectivity theory, found that as people perceive time as limited, priorities naturally shift toward emotional meaning rather than achievement. Older adults who consciously focus on emotionally satisfying experiences report higher life satisfaction. But many people never consciously make that shift. They carry the priorities of a 40-year-old into a 75-year-old body. And this is where the breaking point appears. It often shows up after a retirement, a health diagnosis, the loss of a spouse, or a move into a smaller home. Suddenly the old metrics don't work. The job title is gone. The competition is irrelevant. The children are grown. The social circle shrinks. Yet the mental habits remain. This is where 7 things stop mattering, not because they're bad, but because they cost more than they give after 70. First, what other people think. In your 20s, reputation opens doors. In your 70s, it rarely changes your daily reality. Yet surveys from the American Psychological Association show older adults still report high concern about social judgment. The stress response does not care whether the threat is real or imagined. Cortisol rises anyway. Second, being right in every argument. Family tension is common among seniors. AARP reports that nearly 30% of older adults experience ongoing conflict with family members. The cause is often control. The effect is estrangement. Winning the point loses the relationship. Third, maintaining a large social network. The Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest studies on happiness, found that depth of relationships predicts longevity more than the number of friends. After 70, energy is limited. Spreading it thin leads to exhaustion instead of connection. Fourth, keeping up appearances. The anti-aging industry in the United States generates billions annually, with adults over 60 among the highest spenders. But research consistently shows that self-acceptance correlates more strongly with psychological well-being than perceived youthfulness. Chasing image drains savings and increases dissatisfaction. Fifth, holding onto excess possessions. Americans over 65 control more than 1/3 of the nation's wealth. Many also hold decades of physical belongings. Environmental psychology studies show clutter elevates stress hormones. After 70, managing excess items becomes physically and mentally taxing. Sixth, rigid routines that once defined you. Routine creates productivity in midlife. But cognitive research shows that novelty and flexibility protect brain health in later years. When every day looks identical, neural stimulation decreases. The habit that once created success now risks stagnation. Seventh, comparison. Comparison shifts in older age. It becomes about health, mobility, grandchildren, travel, or finances. The national poll on healthy aging found that feelings of inadequacy remain common even after retirement. Comparison erodes gratitude. Now here's the fallout. Chronic stress after 70 is linked to increased inflammation, higher risk of heart disease, and faster cognitive decline. The National Institute on Aging highlights that prolonged stress impacts memory and immune function more significantly in older adults. Holding on to what no longer serves you doesn't just affect mood, it affects longevity. Financially, unnecessary spending to maintain image or lifestyle pressures can strain retirement savings. Emotionally, unresolved conflict shrinks support networks. Physically, stress compounds existing vulnerabilities. And then come the failed fixes. Old advice says stay busy. Don't slow down. Keep proving yourself. Stay relevant. Fill every hour. But busyness without meaning creates exhaustion. Some seniors respond by isolating completely. Others overschedule to avoid feeling invisible. Both extremes miss the point. The real shift is intentional letting go. Not giving up. Not withdrawing from life. Releasing what costs more than it returns. Let me link this to today. Right now, millions of Americans over 70 are healthier and living longer than any generation before them. Life expectancy has expanded dramatically compared to 1900, when few lived beyond their early 70s. But cultural advice hasn't caught up. We extended lifespan without redesigning priorities. So, what do you do? 3 direct actions you can apply today. First, conduct a relevance check. Write down one thing you are defending that no longer improves your health, income, or relationships. Ask yourself honestly whether it still deserves your energy. Second, simplify one area of your life this month. A closet, a recurring obligation, a social commitment. Research shows small environmental simplifications reduce mental load and improve mood. Third, invest in depth over breadth. Call one person you trust. Have a real conversation. According to the Harvard study, meaningful relationships are the strongest predictor of long-term happiness and even physical health. Here's the warning. Ignoring this shift after 70 can quietly increase stress-related disease risk. Chronic psychological strain is not harmless at this stage. It compounds. It accelerates decline. And here's the open thought I want you to sit with. If 7 things don't matter anymore, what might happen if you intentionally chose what does matter for the next 10 or 20 years? If this made you think, press like so more seniors can see it. Share it with someone who might be carrying unnecessary weight. Tell me in the comments what you're ready to release. And subscribe, because in the next video, we're going deeper into the habits that quietly add years of independence after 70.